Alex at LifeSprout Chiropractic, and we are diving into a holiday-themed workshop on stress. And the title of this is Bang Head Here. I know many of us can probably relate to this after the first bout of the holidays. So our goal in this is to stop stress now and really learn how to handle stress well throughout the course of this presentation. And so as we dive in, first we're going to talk about what stress is, what causes it, and then we're going to get into 5 different ways that we can work on handling our stress in a healthy and productive way. Because no matter what, wherever you look, wherever you go, whatever your life looks like, stress has become a fact of life. And for many of us, it's the daily norm. And although occasional stress can help improve our focus and performance, living with chronic stress can backfire by causing anxiety, depression, and serious health problems. And we'll get into more of those momentarily. And the point is, understanding who we are, knowing our major struggles, putting them in perspective, and taking action can help us deal with stress. So the following strategies can also improve stress tolerance and help lessen the effects of stress on our health. So that's really what we're going to get into here. So before we get into all that, we're going to answer the question, what is stress? And so the term stress, as it is currently used today, was coined by Hans Selye in 1936, and he defined it as the non-specific response of the body to any demand for change. And that is an excerpt from the American Institute of Stress. And so demand for change. A lot of you are like, well, my life is changing all the time. I feel the same way. So in our world, it's becoming more and more complex because of social media. Our jobs are more complex. We're more connected than we've ever been. We know what's going on in the world. If you read the news, after like Paris attacks and any of that other stuff that's happened recently, we all get bombarded by this stuff. And that's not even the beginning of it. With the industrial age, we have machines and increased productivity. And so it's brought us things like the jackhammer, the loudspeaker, the motorcycle and car, and a lot of noisy machines. So many kids have trouble with high noise stuff, and it's because we're surrounded by this every day. Physical stresses such as sound and air, water pollution have worsened in the last century, especially here in the US. And we are also on social media all the time. And so taken together, all of this really assaults our physical and emotional senses. And so we have these reactions that are just constantly heightened. So due to this, we feel perpetually overwhelmed, and we have defined this sensation as stress. And what we have seen is that the modern healthcare, we recognize that many illnesses are caused by stress or worsened by stress. Stress is the primary thing that actually brings people into my office. You may think it's neck or back pain, but what caused that neck or back pain? It was originally some form of stress. We talked about physical, chemical, and emotional, and we're about to get into that in more detail. And so that's ultimately what makes your vertebrae go out of place and causes stress in your body. And so getting adjusted is going to be one of the things that we talk about that is a way to handle your stress. So many studies have been done on people who are subjected to chronic stress, and they found evidence of negative health effects of stress. These include high blood pressure, damage to muscle tissue, diabetes, infertility, damage to the immune system, slowed healing from disease and injury. And stress reactions are also at the root of disorders such as post-traumatic stress disorder, and stress has been linked in human and animal research with cardiovascular disease. So none of these are really good things, right? And they're finding that all of it is actually linked to stress, not necessarily your genetics like we like to talk about, but actually stress. So what actually causes stress? Those are the stress side effects. We just talked about those. But what are the causes? And so there are many different things that can cause stress. There's 3 basic sources: our environment, our body, and our emotions. And those are the 3 I just talked about: physical, chemical, and emotional. And so environmental stress includes things like noise, weather, physical threats, time pressures, and performance standards. Body stress includes disease processes, organ malfunction, poor nutrition, poor sleep, and physical injury. Emotional stress is a little harder to define. It encompasses our reactions in thought and emotion to environmental and physical stressors. Criticism, for example, is devastating to some while others seem unaffected. In many ways, however, we are each in control of how much emotional stress we will feel. And so some of you might be familiar with, the smallest thing can cause lots of anxiety and stress for you. Others, I'm more someone with, I don't want to say tough skin, but I take criticism well, and it helps inspire me to do better, whereas other people, they don't do very well with that. So not only do we need to get to know each other, just knowing yourself and how you react can help you gauge and handle how you handle your stress. And so stress, here's what it does in your body. Whether it's physical or perceived, it triggers a flight or fright response. And this is an actual systemic physical reaction. It affects every part of the body. The hypothalamus, a part of which is in your brain, stimulates the sympathetic nervous system. Your heart rate goes up, your blood volume and blood pressure increase. Blood is directed away from digestion and to the extremities. Vision becomes more focused, hearing is more acute. In response to messages from the SNS, the adrenal glands secrete corticoids, which is adrenaline, epinephrine, and norepinephrine. And all this is really useful if you were running away from a grizzly bear up here. But when we have all this stuff being triggered just in our day-to-day lives as we're out functioning in the world, that can really become disastrous to our health and things that we want to achieve in life. So here's some, we'll just call them disturbing statistics on this next slide here. As you can see, and if anyone wants a copy of this, I can email this specific slide to you later. If you just send me an email at dralex@lifesproutchiro.com, I'll shoot that off to you. But the #1 cause of stress is job pressure. And I have to remember where I got this from. Somewhere it'll tell me where I got this information from. At the moment, I'm not remember. Oh, here we go. American Psychological Association. There we go. So job pressure, money, health. You can probably relate to a lot of these things. Relationships, poor nutrition, media overload, sleep deprivation. So all of these things are important to your health. When you come in here, we ask questions in a questionnaire relating back to many of these things and just your overall quality of life. And the reason is, if you have high levels of stress in all areas of your life, or even just a few areas of your life, it can really affect your health. And so I won't go over this slide in a whole lot of detail, but you know, people experiencing physical symptoms caused by stress, 77%. People with psychological symptoms, 73%. People who feel like they're living with extreme stress, 33%. All these numbers are way too high. I don't know if you agree with me or not. Feel their stress has increased over the last 5 years, almost half, 48%. Money and work is the leading cause of their stress, 76%. And people lying awake at night due to stress, 48%. And so I'll just kind of leave it at that for this. You know, we go on, it impacts their life, it causes conditions, headaches, fatigue is #1, headaches are #2, upset stomach, muscle tension, teeth grinding, and making people feel irritable or angry, feeling nervous, lack of energy, all this stuff. And so I know so many of us can relate to all of these things. And I'll tell you, one of the most satisfying things I've seen in practice is having people come start getting adjusted, start getting their stress levels under control, and actually finding the motivation and the joy and the opportunity to make some changes. Before I even went to chiropractic school, I worked in an office, and my favorite patient there, I still remember her. She walked in one day. She was one of those people who, you know, really wouldn't stand out to you. She was just always sad, kind of always burned out on energy, fatigued, not really super fun to be around, and not that noticeable. And one day she walked in, she had a haircut, she had brand new clothes on, and she was just beaming with joy. And I can't say that getting adjusted is the thing that made her change, but through meeting us and the people in the practice where I worked, she went out and got the job of her dreams. She was in her mid-50s, and she just had a whole new outlook on life, and she was loving it and all this stuff. And it's all because she took the top cause of her stress out and was able to move on and get excited. So just some inspiration for you. So here we go. We're going to delve into, we know stress does all these things, and now we're going to delve into 5 strategies to eliminate stress, or at least decrease it by a whole heck of a lot. So some of these might seem really obvious to you, and some of them might be news. So at the same, we encourage you to just immerse yourself into this with a clear and open mind and a willingness to change. It is clear, and I've said this in my practice, I've written articles about this, stress kills, literally. And I'll share a little bit of my own story in a little while here. I've been realizing how much stress has impacted me in the last 2 years or so. And it's kind of scary, to be honest. And so everyone is familiar with at least one person who had a shortened lifespan because of the stresses in their lives. And therefore, let's not become a statistic. We don't want to be statistics. I'm all about not being one of the statistics around here. So taking personal responsibility for our lives so that we can learn effective ways to handle the normal stresses that exist. That's what we're going to do here. So here we go. Strategy number 1. A lot of you will say, yeah, I knew that already. That's all right. So number 1, physical fitness is not only one of the most important keys to a healthy body, it is the basis of dynamic and creative intellectual activity. John F. Kennedy said that. And I will say I absolutely 100% agree with this. Now there's a point. I just recently learned this word called hormetic, which is where you can actually have too much of a good thing, too much of a good thing. It's on a bell curve, and so if you do something too much, it can actually become bad for your body. Physical fitness exercise falls into this, but using it in a way as stress relief and not necessarily trying to, say, run a marathon like I used to do, is a very good thing. And I've found that a lot of my practice planning, a lot of other things I've done, I've actually done well running or skiing. Those are my 2 things that really help just clear my mind and my head and my brain, and I think I've shared some of that before. So here's the deal. Our bodies were put on this earth to move, to shake, to sweat, and to get our hearts pumping. But in our sedentary and stressed society, the amount of motion we experience continues to suffer. So I think the stats are pretty low on how many adults actually get 30 minutes of physical activity every day. So it's absolutely essential to create a space in your stressful life for physical activity that you enjoy. You can dance, you can jump around while vacuuming, you can chase your kid around the house, which is what I do every single day. You can go skiing, another thing I do. You can run, you can walk outside, you can go to the Big Dipper and walk, you can go ice skating, just something. Get yourself moving, and up here as much as you can, as long as it's not 40 below, get outside. So people who exercise regularly will tell you they feel better. Some will say it's because chemicals called neurotransmitters produced in the brain and are stimulated during exercise. And since it's believed that neurotransmitters mediate our moods and emotions, they can make us feel better and less stressed. And while there's no scientific evidence to conclusively support the neurotransmitter theory, there's also plenty to show that exercise provides stress-relieving benefits. And so here's some of them. It pumps up your endorphins. You get meditation and motion. Especially with me, lets my mind check out. I do better if I don't listen to music, but if you're a music listener and that's how you meditate, that's okay. It can help regulate your mood. It improves your sleep. And you begin to socialize with people who have similar interests. So, you get a whole group of you going to the gym, going for a run, going for a ski, whatever you're going to do. Going for a walk, jumping around with your children. So the key with using exercise as a stress reliever is to find something you enjoy doing. It can be weight training, biking, rollerblading, dancing, Zumba, water aerobics, whatever it is. But if you don't enjoy it, eventually you're going to fall off the bandwagon and become even more stressed. So that's what we have to say about stress. We just went over a bunch of these benefits: endorphins, meditation, mood regulation, sleep, and you get to socialize while you do it. Here is number 2. You're all going to say, but you just went over this. It's still important. So strategy 2 is eating well. To eat is a necessity, but to eat intelligently is an art. And someone with a very French name said that. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. So here are some nutrition strategies. Here's the deal. I have this argument with my husband quite a bit, and many of you either will believe me or you won't, but here we go. The food you put in your body will have a massive impact on your ability to cope and combat stress. In a society which is packed with artificial ingredients, growth hormones, and added sugar, there should be no surprise that stress is on the rise. Our bodies are experiencing shock, and it is important to recognize this and to begin to dance to the beat of a different drum. And so this is where things, we have another 5 strategies. Within our 5 strategies, we have 5 strategies for getting to a healthy diet and choosing things that are going to help with your stress rather than increase your stress by overloading your body with chemicals and hormones and antibiotics and things that it doesn't need to also have to combat, along with high levels of corticosteroids and stress hormones. So, number 1, eat balanced meals. Make sure to include lean and high quality protein and moose, salmon. We have lots of that up here. Vegetables with each meal, and it's important to give your body everything you need. Eat fairly regularly. Try not to skip meals. Many of us forget about breakfast. I'm one of those people too. And you should. I just did a webinar where I kind of contradicted some of this information. Some people say eat 4 to 5 times a day. You definitely want to have snacks. You don't want to be starving when you go to eat, because that's when you decide to binge or get something that you shouldn't really be eating. And you also don't want to let food become your stress reliever. Many of us will, turn to chocolate or candy or something because we're high stress. I've definitely been guilty of this. So either going for a walk. I remember in college I used to sprint around the library late at night when I was studying for exams, and that was how I handled my stress and got myself to calm back down. Or snacking on something that's crunchy. It makes your jaw muscles work, so it'll get your stress levels to go down as well, because it distracts your body a little bit. So that's almonds or baby carrots. Don't eat baby carrots, they're full of bleach, but like regular carrots, stuff like that, anything that's crunchy. And then cut back on the caffeine. A lot of times when I cave and have chai teas too often, it's because I'm stressed out. So it keeps you awake at night. It can actually increase your stress because it's going to keep you from getting a good night's sleep. So just cut back. If you're going to have it, just have it in the morning. And then make mealtime pleasant. Don't try to work while you're having a meal. Don't pay your bills while you're having a meal. Give yourself time. You relieve stress. A lot of times we feel we have so much crammed in that we have to get done. We never take time to just decompress. And if you never take that time, you're always stressed. So take the time. Set 30 minutes out of your busy schedule and just sit and enjoy your food. You'll eat less, for one, and you'll feel much better afterwards as well. And then here is some foods that can actually help with stress. We have bananas. Some of these you're going to like. Salmon, Alaska, eat your salmon. Dark chocolate in moderation. I'm guilty of doing that in more than I should, but try just moderation. 1 piece here or there will get you. It actually has antioxidants that help with stress. Almonds, sweet potatoes, avocado, high quality animal protein, and leafy green vegetables are all things that can actually help combat stress. So there we go, our nutrition strategies. Make good choices, not McDonald's. Go somewhere else, get a salad. All right, strategy number 3. We are talking about meditation. Meditation is like a gym in which you develop the powerful mental muscles of calm and insight. And another name I can't pronounce that Ajahn Brahm, we'll go with that. So there are 2 different ways that you can go about this. And I'll be honest, meditation is not something I've always been that great at. Sitting and writing is, so that's kind of my version of meditation. But here's how we can go about this. So daily meditation and deep breathing, because this is something that works for a lot of people when it's practiced regularly. And so deep breathing is a way, we're going to talk about gratitude in a second, but deep breathing is a good way to relieve stress. It helps calm your heart rate down and gets your breathing down. It'll lower your blood pressure. All of those fight or flight responses that you have going on, if you just sit and really focus on getting full deep breaths, all of that stuff will start to dissipate and let your body just relax. And then in recent decades, many forms of meditation have gained popularity as relaxation and pain relief tools. And so focusing on your breath, looking at a candle, or practicing non-judgmental awareness of our thoughts and actions can help tune out distractions. If you are a Christian like I am, praying, taking a minute out to just talk to God is another way to meditate. It can also reduce anxiety and depression, accept our circumstances. They found in cancer patients that meditation-based stress reduction enhances quality of life, lowers stress symptoms, and can help benefit the immune system. So here's another way to go about meditating, and I actually wrote a blog post about this not too long ago. At our last newsletter that we sent out, and that is to have an attitude of gratitude. And what this means is that as you're entering into a meditative state, you just consider visualizing all the things in your life that you're grateful for. Your family, your friends. We're coming off Thanksgiving, so many of us probably have these on the tip of our tongue. Your home, your health, your finances, travel, vacations, anything else in your life that you're grateful for. And at the end of your meditation, you can write down the images that entered your mind and why you are very grateful for these people or things. And when this becomes part of your daily or weekly routine, even if you just do it weekly, that's honestly enough. You'll begin to train your mind to focus on the good while ignoring the bad, aka the stress. And so one additional concept is personal development. And we make sure to incorporate as much positive wisdom into our lives as possible. So there's some authors here. I have a whole list. I'll just share the ones that I'm familiar with and a fan of. I think they're, yes, listed. No, not yet. We forgot to put them in. So we have Tony Robbins, Robin Sharma, I'm not familiar with them. James Allen, Nathaniel Branden, Jim Rohn, Deepak Chopra, I am familiar with. Wayne Dyer, I am familiar with. They're great. Jack Canfield, also familiar with. Paulo Coelho, and Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey is great. He's the guy who wrote 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, I believe. And so there's many more out there. Maybe you have your own that you know and you want to share with us. I'm always looking to expand my list of people I can read that inspire me and, you know, help me to grow and develop myself into becoming a better mom, a better doctor, a better wife, just a better human being in the world. The Bible obviously is another one that you can go to. So there's many, many things that you can read. But try to get away from anything that's going to give you that stinking thinking perspective and really just bring you to positivity and joy and excitement in your life. So there we go. That was strategy 3, which is meditating, growing yourself, being positive throughout the day. All of that combats stress. And all of that, when we're stressed out, we have a really hard time doing. So no more stinking thinking. Here's number 4. Organizing. Organizing is what you do before you do something so that when you do it, it's not all mixed up. Isn't that the truth? So this is important. I'll be honest, this is my big one that I struggle with. I'm pretty good with exercise. I'm pretty good with eating right. I'm pretty good with thinking positive thoughts and making sure that I'm well fed that way. But organization, you should not see the inside of my car. So I was preparing for this and going through this part and I was like, yeah, here we go. So this is an important strategy to eliminate stress in your life because your home, your office, your car, etc. is a direct reflection of how cluttered you are in your life. Raising my hand. It's cluttered. We like to refer to these areas as potential sanctuaries where you can create an environment that elicits creativity, love, passion, relaxation, and fun. And so one of the people who helped put this report together actually gave a whole list of creating a space that your sanctuary, basically. And so rather than sharing all of his, I was going to talk about our office because the office is actually my sanctuary. That's terrible. Not really. I love what I do. I'm blessed in that my career is not my number one source of stress. Owning a business can be stressful, but I absolutely love what I do. I love taking care of all of you. And I love the environment we've created in the space that we're in. And, you know, so many of you have complimented me on it. And I'm really just grateful that you all feel the same way I do about this place. But, you know, to get there, honestly, it didn't take all that much work, but it did take a little bit of work. I saw the space. I went and started having dreams about it. I wasn't sleeping very well because I was dreaming up, you know, what it was going to look like and then picking out paint colors and all of that. So it really started with visualization. And, you know, I had some words that I liked for the office, but you want to think about what words would you like to associate with your sanctuary. If someone came to visit, which all of you do, what would the one sentence that they would use to capture their experience be? What do you anticipate will happen once you finish building your sanctuary? And what emotions do you want to create within your sanctuary? So I think all of you can agree that I wanted a very homey place, something very comfortable, very healing environment. And so I think we've done really well with getting there. I spent a lot of time on Pinterest. That's a great place to go to get inspired with ideas. And whether you're going to do this in your home, your office, your car, whatever it is, you know, getting online, looking at different things that you really like, and then doing research. Maybe you can do stuff, whatever your budget is, try to do stuff for less expensive. You know, I did most of the stuff on Amazon, because we're in Alaska and we have no stores. But maybe you know someone who can make something, or you can make something. So you want to start documenting stuff as well. That's kind of the step 2 of this. So we want to visualize, we want to document. And then you want to think about all 5 senses. So you don't want to have to explain what's happening. You want people to come in to whatever, or you want to come in to, primarily this is about you and creating your environment where you won't be stressed out. So you want to try to get all 5 of your senses. So we have sight. What are you going to see? You know, are you into modern stuff? Do you like more classical stuff? Do you want fire? Do you want plants? Do you want fountains? Do you want nature? Do you want hunting stuff? It's what's going to make you feel at ease and at peace as when you see it. Taste. You know, do you want people to have chocolate like we do here? Do you want fruit? Do you want what's the thing that you imagine tasting when you're in your sanctuary? Smell. We've got doTERRA oils diffusing now, different ones for different days and whatever mood I'm in, and the people around me are in. But you know, what do you want to smell when you come in? What do you want to hear? Do you want running water? Do you want street sounds? Do you want, what's going to relax you the most? And then touch. You know, what are you touching when you come into this sanctuary or this space? So you want to make sure that as you're thinking about this for yourself and designing this, you really hit all of those senses, because that's going to be the thing that's going to help you really relax in your sanctuary. And then step 4 is to set a deadline. You know, for us, I think I had like a month or 2 to put all this together, and it was a little stressful there at the end, but we got it done. We worked it out. And then I've already talked about this, searching and finding a budget. You know, keep expanding, keep Pinteresting, keep looking online, keep, you know, visiting other people's places, get an idea of what you want to do in your space. But really, if you have this sanctuary and have this space where you can be and just be you and be relaxed and de-escalate from whatever is bombarding you out in the world. And the sanctuary can be your car. If you live with a small child, a car is probably a better place, or your office. My house is not my sanctuary, and maybe someday, not right now. Right now it's covered in Thomas the Train. But you know, you want to really embrace this and enjoy it and make it your own and make it fun, and not have building your sanctuary become another source of stress. So don't stress about it. Just set your deadline and decide how much you want to spend, and then go enjoy it, share it, and celebrate having this beautiful sanctuary. So I hope that inspired all of you. I use my office as an example because, like I said, it's my sanctuary, and I honestly feel like many of you have found that it's your sanctuary as well. So please, I don't care if you have an appointment or not, just come by and hang out if it's somewhere that helps you de-stress and just enjoy your life. That's what it's here for. All right, so here is our last strategy on handling stress. And this may or may not come as a surprise to many of you, but here's strategy 5. The power that made the body heals the body. It happens in no other way. And B.J. Palmer said this. Many of you probably recognize that quote. It is above our fireplace in here. And as we've said, stress kills. And we mean it. At least 80 to 90% of the people who we help are coming in here because of a condition that is a byproduct of stress. It's a symptom that's caused by too much stress in the life. And so chiropractors understand that problems with your spine and nervous system come from 3 primary stresses. I've already mentioned this: physical, chemical, and emotional. And there's a chief cancer prevention research, the guy who did it, Ronald Pero, was published at New York's Preventive Medicine Institute, and another professor, he's a professor at New York University. He measured the immune systems of people under chiropractic care as compared to those in the general population and those with cancer and other serious diseases. And in his initial 3-year study of 107 individuals who had been under chiropractic care for 5 years or more, The chiropractic patients were found to have a 200% greater immune competence than the people who had not received chiropractic care, and 400% greater competence than people with cancer and other serious diseases. And so I'm a chiropractor. I primarily work with the spine. The root of nervous system through which the nerve impulses travel from the brain to the rest of the body. So the spine protects the nervous system. The brain sends messages to the rest of the body. If the spine is out of alignment, whether it's that a curve is missing or straightened out, a lot of times in necks we see that, or that a vertebra is actually rotated in the wrong direction, impacting that communication system. And even muscle tension can help pull some of that stuff out of alignment. It creates pressures and leads to what we call a subluxation. And ultimately that is the result of stress. So if you want to see less of me, do these strategies in order to combat your stress. And we still have a little bit of stress each day, so getting adjusted once in a while is a good idea. But chronic stress can lead to nerve irritation. And so the adjustments that I do release muscle tension that helps the body return to a more balanced, relaxed state. And adjustments also reduce spinal nerve irritation and improve blood circulation, just among a few things. They also increase your catecholamines or catecholamines, which help combat corticosteroids and help increase your immune response and bring your stress levels back down. And so a healthy and balanced spine is one huge key to effectively managing stress. And so ultimately, I think I've shared with you, many of you, the idea of, this was also coined by B.J. Palmer, but there's a poem that he wrote called, well, I have it over here, The Big Idea. And so I think in closing, I'll just share that really quick. And so here we go. The big idea. A slip on the snowy sidewalk in winter is a small thing. It happens to millions, especially in Fairbanks. A fall from a ladder in summer is a small thing. It also happens to millions. The slip or fall produces a subluxation. The subluxation is a small thing. The subluxation produces pressure on a nerve. That pressure is a small thing. That decreased flowing produces a diseased body and brain. That is a big thing to that man, woman, or child. Multiply that sick man, woman, or child by 1,000, and you control the physical and mental welfare of a city. Multiply that man, woman, or child by 150 million, and you forecast and can prophesy the physical and mental status of a nation. So the slip or fall, the subluxation, pressure, flow of mental images, and disease are big enough to control the thoughts and actions of a nation. Now comes a man, and one man is a small thing. This man gives an adjustment. The adjustment is a small thing. The adjustment replaces the subluxation. That is a small thing. The adjusted subluxation releases pressure upon nerves. That is a small thing. The released pressure restores health to a man. That is a big thing to that man, woman, or child. This was written a long time ago. Multiply that well man by woman or child by 1,000, and you step up the physical and mental welfare of a city. Multiply that well man, woman, or child by 1,000,000, and you increase the efficiency of a state. Multiply that well man, woman, or child by 130 million, and you have produced a healthy, wealthy, and better race for posterity. So the adjustment of the subluxation to release pressure upon nerves, to restore mental impulse flow, to restore health, is big enough to rebuild the thoughts and actions of the world. The idea that knows the cause, that can correct the cause of disease, is one of the biggest ideas known. Without it, nations fall. With it, nations rise. This idea is the biggest idea I know of. And that was written by B.J. Palmer in 1944. So, it was written a long time ago, and I'm talking about all this stuff, but ultimately, we know that we've all been around people who are highly stressed all the time, who are negative, who are having symptoms, having disease and all of that. And we know that it has such a huge impact on them. And so just imagine, this is kind of, we're getting into my bigger picture and mission here and what I feel like God's put me here to do. But just imagine if all of those people were happy and healthy and positive and joyful with their lives. Just imagine what that could do for the world. And so ultimately, I'm sharing all this stuff with you. That is my bigger goal, is to have more and more people under chiropractic care, more and more people just loving the life that they live. And that's really what we're here to do. So I'll leave you with that. If you aren't already part of our office and we sound like somewhere you'd like to check out, come and check us out. Our number is 451-7000, or you can email me at dralex@lifesproutcairo.com. And I hope you all got something out of this. Remember those 5 strategies. This recording will be up on YouTube for however long we leave it there, probably quite a while. And personally, I'm going to go tackle my organization in my car. I think my office is pretty good because I pay someone else to clean it, but my car and my house could use some help. And really focusing on, you want to focus on getting exercise, 30 minutes every day, eating well, thinking positive thoughts, working on yourself, developing yourself personally, getting that sanctuary built. And then if you are someone who's not getting adjusted, it's time to give that a try and just see what kind of a difference that can make for you in your life. So thank you all for tuning in and joining us, and let our family take care of yours. We will see you soon.